Hi everyone, it's Dan here from Flexxable. Today we're going to talk about CBO versus ABO on Facebook, which is better and when to use which one. Okay, let's get stuck in. Okay, so I might be teaching a few of you to suck eggs, right? But CBO stands for Campaign Budget Optimization. And the way it works is that when you create your campaign structure, you've got the ad sets that sit below your campaign, okay? And let's say you've got one campaign and you've got 10 ad sets that sit below this. And each of those ad sets could be a different audience that you want to test. And then you put your 4 or 5 best ads into each of those 10 ad sets. What's going to happen is Facebook is going to divert the spend to the ad sets that are going to get the most lead, what they think is going to get the most leads for you. Okay, the best audience and the best ads are going to get the spend, and what's going to happen is that some ad sets are not going to get any spend at all or very, very little. So it's great for obvious reasons, because you're letting Facebook's algorithms and the artificial intelligence and their machine learning figure out what's working. But on the other hand, it doesn't allow you to be able to spend where you want to. Okay, and we'll touch a little bit on this later. Right, so ABO stands for Ad Set Budget Optimization, and it's very similar to CBO, right? Except the only difference is when you set up those 10 ad sets, you're able to control exactly how much spend goes to each of those 10 ad sets, all right? Which means that if you've got the same ads in each ad set, you're testing audiences here, okay? And it's great because it allows you to have more control, but on the flip side, it's not leveraging Facebook's machine learning and algorithms and all that fancy stuff that they do, right? So there's the advantages and disadvantages, which again, I'm going to talk about in a sec. Okay, so before I talk to you about, when to use which ABO or CBO, what I want to also say is that, guess what? Facebook were trying to phase ABO out. Okay, so I think it must have been about 18 months ago, there was an announcement that Facebook was going to get rid of ABO completely, which meant that most advertisers kind of threw the ad set budget kind of campaign optimization out of the way, and everyone switched to CBO because it was coming and it wasn't worth the hassle of doing both, okay, because you're going to lose ABO anyway. But what's happened is that Facebook has done a massive U-turn in this space, which tells you something, right? It tells you that there's opportunity, especially if you're running CBO and you're struggling, your cost per leads are high, or even if it's going really well, it's worth flipping things over again and going back to the ad set budget to see if you can get some better results, okay? So it's a little secret that Facebook has not really spoken too much about, and it's kind of flown under the radar, but ad set budgets, this is what we're running at the moment, especially for new accounts, and it's working really, really well. Okay, so the best time to use ABO, ad set budgets, is when you're opening a new account, all right? This is important because when you've got a brand new account, when you've got a new pixel, when you haven't got anything proven, when there's no hook or audience, or when your conversion pixel isn't working because you've got iOS issues, all that type of stuff, you want to start with ad set budget because you have much more control, okay? You want to be able to test different audiences with different creatives, and you want to be able to control that process rather than let just Facebook spin its wheels and be able to spend willy-nilly wherever the hell they want with the big audiences. And that is generally what happens. Okay, so let's say you have those 10 audiences that you're testing, those 10 ad sets. On CBO, what's going to happen is that the big broad audiences is where all of the spend's going to go. And we've seen this in our own advertising accounts, where things weren't working great in CBO, and some of the ad sets that we put up there weren't getting any spend at all. Then we switched over to ABO, and guess what happened? There was much better conversions and even cheaper leads in the audiences and the ad sets that weren't getting any spend whatsoever before. Okay, so always look to test ABO when you are running brand new ad accounts. All right. The next thing to look at is when you're testing. Okay, so if you are running, a decent volume inside your ad account and you're getting good quality leads and things are working well, a lot of good media buyers are going to have what's called a sandbox campaign, which is where you do your testing of new audiences and new creatives. Okay, it's always best to be able to use ad set budget here because testing is all about control, right? You want to be able to control it rather than give it over to Facebook for obvious reasons. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for ABO. All right, so if you have got smaller budgets and you're a new advertiser and you're looking to get started in lead gen, then I would highly recommend starting with ad set budgets because, $50 a day or whatever that is not enough data, not enough touch points for Facebook to be able to get you the leads. They're testing too many things. They're testing audiences and multiple creatives. And if you leave that to the machine on such small budgets, guess what? It's not going to end well. So it's all about control at this point. You want to have control over the audience and you want to make sure that you can force the spend to where you want it to go rather than giving Facebook free rein. All right, so let's talk about CBO now, campaign budget optimization. All right, you want to be using CBO when you've got larger budgets to play with, when you've got a more mature advertising account where all of that data is here, you know what audiences and what ads are kind of working, which I guess transitions me into talking about the production campaign. And for those of you who don't know what a production campaign is, you always want to have two if you're a serious media buyer. You want to have your testing, which you call your sandbox, and then what you want to have your production, which is where all of your stuff goes, which is where your best audiences are, your best creatives, and you want to move the stuff that you're testing from sandbox over to your production campaign. Okay, so you've got your sandbox ticking over with ad set budgets, and then you've got your production campaign, which is where you really want to you really want to run with a campaign budget optimization, a CBO. Okay, because guess what? If you've got your hook and your creative and your audiences dialed in, this is where you want to scale. You want to really push the budget, roughly 20% per day, and push and get things scaling. And CBO is where you want to do this. Okay, so like anything, I don't want to be giving advice without testing this type of stuff. And we did this over the last few weeks on a smaller budget. We're roughly running £200 a day. And my media buyer, Graham, was running at £200 per day with 5 ad sets in a CBO structure for one of our offers. And that was bringing in leads at £19. Okay. We weren't too happy with that. It was too expensive. So what we decided to do was test ad set budget. All right, and we did one ad set campaign with 5 ad sets, each with £40 each. And what happened is our cost per lead was slashed down to £12.50. It was, I guess that's about roughly a third off the cost per lead. Okay, which is significant. And the big reason why this is because, and by the way, these were exactly the same ad sets, exactly the same audiences and exactly the same ads, all right? And what happened was that in the CBO, 2 ad sets got, a few pence or maybe a few pounds per day spent, and then they just completely stopped spending, all right? We took exactly the same 5 ad sets, same ads, same audiences, put them into a CBO, ABO campaign, £40 a day each, and these 2 that won't get any spend whatsoever were bringing the cheapest leads at £7 per lead. All right, so this is significant. If you're not trying ABO and you have just fallen in love with CBO over the last few years, then please give it a go because you're going to see some big differences. Okay, if you like this video today and you want to hear more about stuff like ABO versus CBO, then please give us a like so we know to create more videos like this. The other thing is, if you have any questions at all about our little case study here and how it worked and what didn't work and what did, and if you want any tips, then please comment below. And the last thing is subscribe so you're going to be the first to learn when there's new content like this created by us. There's going to be a pinned comment below which talks about a game plan on what you can do to be able to escape retainer jail if you're running with clients that are, sucking your life away with trying to get you to do everything. You're a master of none and you want to move to performance-based marketing. Then I've got a game plan on how you can do that. It's one of my students called Agency L, who went from, 0 pay-per-lead clients to replacing his entire agency income with 1 pay-per-lead client. Enjoy, and I'll speak to you soon.